You are live. Good afternoon, everybody. Jay in the background there, he's going to be my earwig. So if you've got any questions, put questions in capital letters or a big Q in capital letters so that he can read it out to me, because I'm just going to be talking and I can't read the chat at the same time. So anyway, you should all know the rules by now. We've just got to put up with that planes in the background, and geez, they must be having a good day over there today.
It's the weekend.
Okay, right out. Going to shrink you. Honey, I shrank the kids. Okay. Now, I don't know how many of you use cold jaws, donut chucks, Longworth chucks, friction chucks, jam chucks, or anything else. But with the cold jaws and that, I've found most of the time they used to, g'day Dennis. Most of the time the little buttons used to let go and the thing would fly out across the room. I've never had much success with Longworth chucks either. I've tried them as well. And I feel you just can't get them tight enough to hold a bowl securely. So quite a few number of years ago, we had to do a whole series of bowls for Country Road kitchenware. It was just a little order, 1,000 of them. I had to come up with an easy way to finish off the bottoms of them. So this is what I came up with in the end. All right.
Pat Keith has come in and Antonio has come in. Antonio.
Yeah. Good afternoon, gentlemen. All right, about to change cameras. Okie doke. So we've got our chuck with our cold jaws. This is a mini set. I'll just give you a quick shot of what we do occasionally have. That one down there is 3 feet in diameter. Yeah, it's about 3 feet in diameter.
Wow.
And you can see all the bracing and everything on the back of it. We don't quite go to that extent with the little ones that I'm going to be showing you today. So, all right, get back onto the other camera again. Get rid of that one out of the way. Right. Oh, yes, I know. That's too big for most lathes, unfortunately. But I've got lathes that can take it, so I don't worry about it. First thing is make sure that these jaws are put on very securely. In other words, make sure they're all locked in like you would do the normal jaws, and then tighten the screws down. Don't just tighten them up out there like that. And you need 3 bits of plywood that you can put in like so and tighten up. Just move it out here a bit. So as they're locked in. Now, depending on the backing that you want, depends on how you cut these out. These are only 150 mil square. On the big one down the back there, they were 450 square when I started. So put them in like so. Make sure you get your square edges right up against the plywood. I'll switch the overhead camera, I think. Put your plywood in like so. What I normally do is turn it upside down. Slide one in. Put the other one in. Now, the reason for the plywood is to make sure that you get Jay, can you just mute your microphone, please?
Yeah. Yep. And it lets me get to it.
Okay. The reason that you put the plywood in there is so you can get these right in tight. And what you do, get your screws. And then you screw these in. I just do one plate at a time. I screw in towards the centre and that's right on the extreme edge. Now you can add more screws if you want to, but I find that just the 4 of them in each one will do the job easily. Also, make sure they're short enough that they don't use 1/2 inch ply. I try to get 19mm ply, but most places only sell 18mm ply these days.
Can you switch it to the overhead cam so they can see like a bit more? Like...
Oh, sorry, I thought I was on the overhead. Right.
And Justin has asked the screws on my Nova cold jaws still leave the jaws a little sloppy, even when the screws at the bottom and tight, bottomed and tight.
Yes.
How do you fix that?
Yes.
What might be wrong?
Right. Believe it or not, I had the same problem, and I'm fortunate in that I have a full range of metric taps. So I just tap the holes down. They don't seem to make the holes deep enough. Just ordinary wood screws, Dennis. These are actually chipboard screws I'm using because normally they don't come back out again, so there's no risk of them breaking or anything. Not like putting a faceplate on.
And Dennis is asking if MDF works well, or is it too unstable?
I prefer plywood, but having said that, I do have one with MDF on it, mainly because it just happened to be the one stuff that I had around the place, and it's 32mm MDF that I used on that one. So, but I don't
Neil's
use it to, yeah, good day, Neil. I don't use MDF on the jaw parts that I'm fitting on in a second, because I have found that it actually fractures it. It splits apart, like almost like ring shakes. It just splits in the centre. Okay, when we've got those on.
And Justin has said if he shortens the screws a little, would that fix the problem?
Not necessarily. I actually found that they didn't seem to be going in far enough. Like I measured them and they were only going in about 3 threads. So you've just got to have a look and see. It's as if they didn't make the holes deep enough to take the screws all the way through.
And Charlotte is asking what size the chuck is.
This one, well, this is a Nova 2, the Supernova. I normally put them on the big one down there, that's on a 150. I've got all the others are on Nova scroll chucks, but a Nova 100 or a Vic Mark 100 or just about any chuck that'll take the things. Now, the next thing I do, put slightly thicker ones in, thicker plywood, and tighten them up. Now, using the same thickness ply, screw them on top. Now, I generally only put one screw in the centre here for the moment. And then another one right on the outside edge out here. You'll see why in a minute.
Is it the same thickness ply or is it thinner?
No, it's thicker. It's the same thickness. 19 mil. Those grooves in it, these are off another set of cold jaws that I had to make bigger, so now we've got lovely weather over here at the moment. Raining and cold. And to make matters worse, I've got a runny nose as well. Just excuse me a second.
It's nice weather here. Overcast, but not raining.
I should have kept that. I could have sold that for a wall hanging if I'd screwed it all onto a plate somewhere all around the wrong way. Chucked a bit of paint on it. Called it artwork.
Artsy fartsy.
Oh, you mongrel. Nearly stabbed myself.
Oh, you could have at least done it on camera. Far out.
I've got a taped head. The bloody headphones keep falling off when I'm leaning forward.
Because you've gone slightly off camera a little bit.
Yeah. Right. Okay, they're all screwed in. Now you take the plywood out. The plywood's there to make sure that you get a nice tight fit against all four of them. Helps if you take all the plywood out before you try and start it. Lock it up. Like so. Right, just bear with me a minute. I've got to clear some stuff off there because the next step's up on the chuck. Right, just got to adjust the camera and then I'm right. Get rid of all this stuff out of there, except the drill. It's amazing how much stuff you got to have when you can't use your benches to show everything. Otherwise, I'd have about 10 cameras around the place trying to show everything. Use the tool rest up. Now you're about to see why you only put the screws in a corner. Mute it.
A bit late. It was a quick one.
Right, now what you do, I might, no. Get a pencil. Now you've got to cut this centre bit out so that you can get access into the screws in the middle if you need to take them out. Gee, that's going well, isn't it? Then come out about 30 millimetres, put another line in, another 30 millimetres, about there, and then we take the corners off. Now, you've got to mark these lines right round. That's close enough. The grooves are making it a bit difficult for the pencil to get over the top of them. Then what you do is get more screws. And put one, there's the gap down there. Put one about 14 or 15 mil inside the line there. And within the circle marked by the pencil. And all will become obvious in a minute. Wrong one, Charlie. In here. Now, it doesn't matter if these don't seat underneath the surface here, because we're not worried about flattening off this top bit here. We flatten it off underneath. Of course, if you want to go to the trouble of countersinking them all, that's your prerogative. But they must be pulled in tight to the backing plate. This, unfortunately, is a boring bit.
Justin has a question.
Yep.
Yeah, I have a tap that matches the thread on the Nova. How much deeper do I need to cut the holes?
Yeah, if I remember right, it's a 5 millimetre tap. You find that it goes down. If you get a 2-inch nail or something and put it down the hole and see how deep the actual hole is, you can go to the bottom of that. That's if it's a finishing tap. Now, another reason I don't like donut chuck is that you've got three or four massive bolts coming out the back of it. And I reckon that'd be a good finger wrapper if you ever just forgot about them for a minute or so. What are you doing there, Jay?
Nothing, that's my wind chime.
Oh.
Justin said, yes, it's a bottom tap.
Well, just take it down as far as you can. Yeah, just be careful, Justin, and that they supply longer screws generally with the cold jaws, because a lot of people, don't know why, put the actual jaws of the chuck back over the top of the cold jaws. So you've got the chuck jaws in the middle of the cold jaws. Bit silly in my opinion, because you can't get around behind the bowl if you put them in. Okay, they're all screwed in. And we've got our lines there. Get rid of the drill for the moment. And the screws. Now with a parting tool, what speed are we on? VE. We'll take it up to AD. Now you can see why I put the lines on there and why I put the screws where I did. They hold the bits on. While I get rid of all the other guys. Now, whenever you do this, always put a safety edge on. The advantage of this chuck is, it doesn't matter, you can put your hands there, whereas if you try that with the cold jaws, you lose your fingers. Any questions so far, Joy?
If there is, they're not putting a Q in front of it, so.
No, don't worry. I can't believe the amount that a lot of people didn't get what I was trying to get at with that spindle roughing gouge video. I tell you, oh, you should never start with a square bit anyway, blah, 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 blah. So, all right, now I'll take the middle out of this. What the hell's happened there?
You all right there?
Yeah, I'm right. Oh, it's never done that before. Well, that was exciting. All right, we have to do a repair. Everybody in the audience, all right? Nobody's fainted?
No, the main thing is as long as you're all right.
Oh, no, I'm all right. That's why I always stand out of the way. All right, I'll just take this off and put those two things back in there again.
See, this is what we pay for, action. No.
Yeah, don't do as I do. Do as I say. Okay. I don't know. I must admit it's never done that before, but anyway. It's the first time for everything. I must admit on the big one that I've got, it's got silicon in behind the plywood was put on with silicon as well, like a glue.
Yep.
I think actually what happened there was that one of the little sections that came out got wedged between the parting tool and the side, and just literally forced it off.
Yep, that'll do it.
But I'll fix this little trolley in a minute when I find all the bits. All right, just hold on a second. Now, Charlotte, don't get excited. I'm getting undressed. I have to take my jacket off so that I can take my headset there. Oh, that's all right. I only went across the workshop.
Just proves he's human, you see, if he's making mistakes.
And the other one's down the back there.
Down the back. Did it make its own way to the rubbish bin?
Ah, yes. I can see wooden. Now, Neil and Charlotte, and probably Pat know this, but if you ever have anything like that, always have a look and see if you can work out what caused it, so you don't make the same stupid mistake again. Because in my opinion, once is an accident, twice is stupidity. Yeah, you can see on this, one of the quarters got wedged in here and the parting tool just gouged into there and virtually twisted it right off.
Justin asked if it rolled across the highway again.
Oh, well, yeah.
Whoops.
That was an exciting day that day. I don't think the neighbours have ever forgiven me for it, actually. Right.
That bloody Robbo again.
Before anybody says anything, yes, I'm using the original holes for starters, but only to get 2 new ones down inside there. I must admit, normally I do not use the parting tool for taking that centre piece out.
So now, have you learnt?
Eh?
Have you learnt now?
Yeah, it takes a while to sink in sometimes. Doesn't it, Neil? Always takes a while to sink in sometimes.
Not sometimes, always.
Might actually see, but I get a longer screen for that.
Antonio is asking, could it have been the high speed?
No, it's not high speed actually. It's only doing it's only doing 700 revs, so it's well within its working limit. That's the other advantage actually of these, in that you can spin them at higher than normal speeds, because it's got a full circle lock onto the bowl in the middle. Now I'll do it the way I normally do it in a minute when I get it all back together again.
And Dennis said, I guess when you undress, it'll be easier to change your undies.
I must admit, it takes a lot to soil my undies these days. Right. Okay, I've got it all locked back down again. Good.
There you go. Soren has said, I thought you always said there was no such thing as an accident, but a failure to plan.
That's dead right. Oh, Soren in there. Oh, g'day, Soren.
Ricky said that he's got your pieces in Dandelion if you need them. And then Mike, the Midnight Joker, said that NASA confirmed the re-entry at 4:40.
That, look, if you have an accident and it doesn't hurt you, that's all right, and you should learn something from it in most cases. Right. So back to where we were. You got your YouTube up, have you? Okay.
Oh, I got the chat up, but not the channel's thing's actually muted. Why is that?
Oh, you're getting feedback of my voice, that was all.
Oh, okay.
Okay. And the observant ones will notice that I don't have to walk past the headstock to turn the lathe on and off either. See how deep we've gone in there.
Dennis says, question, I bet you're going to stand back now.
No, I'd still stand in the normal place. Right, that's nearly through on that one. Right, now I number these. 1, 2, 3, 4, so they go back in the same place. Just force of habit, I'm afraid. Well, we're not off yet.
Justin's asking a question. How are you cutting through the top layer of ply, and how deep are you going?
Yeah, all will be explained in a second. Right, so I've just gone through this first layer here first, and you can see I've just virtually hit the one underneath it, and that's as far as you go. You don't go any further. So we take those segments off. Is that your end or my end?
Byron, my end.
Yeah. Finally caught up with you.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Oh.
Mike's in, isn't he? Midnight
Yeah, he is
Coker.
actually. Yeah, good call.
They could probably looking for him. Known criminal, bloody having SWAT teams and everything brought out just because he carried the bloody thing down the street.
Dennis is asking, do the segments need to go back in the same place?
Yes. Well, it's force of habit with me because I'm a semi-mechanical engineering background, and we're always taught that you always put things back where they were so that make sure that they line up properly. They don't necessarily have to go back in the same place, but it makes it easier, particularly unless you've laid the screws out nicely.
Hello, Amy.
Number 2, number 1.
Amy's in, Robbo.
Yeah, g'day, Amy. How are you? You missed the excitement.
You have to go and watch the replay later, Amy, and see stuff go boom boom. You'd think you were watching my live.
Right. Now we can take these centre ones out too, because I know they're cut out. Number 3, number 4, right, 3.
Got a question from Antonio. Do you
Yep.
screw the chuck on the spindle to stop it spinning off?
Sorry?
Do you screw the chuck on the spindle to stop it spinning off?
Yes. You mean just like a normal chuck? Yeah, it's just a normal, it's a normal chuck, Antonio, so yes, it's got to be screwed on to the spindle nose. Now this is the way I normally take that centerpiece out. I was trying to simplify it and it backfired on me.
Mike said you just put 2 in 3s.
Hey?
Mike said you just put 2 in 3s.
Yeah, I have to alter the screws in the centre ones anyway.
Justin has a question.
Yep.
Does the travel of the jaws determine the thickness of the segments, or is 30 mil for strength?
No, you can get away with about 1/2 inch and 3/4 ply. I just like 30 mil because it gives a nice spacing between everything, that's all. Now what I'm going to do is put these centre ones back on again in here, because the little bowl that I'm going to put on should just about fit wherever I put it. There it is. Now what these lines do here is give you a guide as to where the chuck has to go. And you can put anything you like on the outside of that and it'll be pretty right. So I just need the centre ones in here, but I need to move the screws towards the outside a little bit. Here's a bit of mucking around to start off with, but once you've done it a couple of times, there's no great dramas. And the grooves allow you to line up the segments to a certain extent. Now I've got to put the screws further out. Nothing worse than a runny nose.
A snotty nosed kid.
Yeah, that too. Come on. Now, 9 times out of 10, these don't go back in a perfect circle anyway, and you don't worry too much about it. Because you've got the chisel, you make them round again. Now, normally, I'd fit all the outside ones as well, but just to expedite things today, I'm not going to.
Hello, Jappy.
Number 3.
Jappy's just come in.
Yep. So, Jarpy, how are you?
And Ricky's got a question.
Yep.
Is the center hole to access the cold jaw bolts?
Yes, because they do work loose, and I have to tighten them every now and again. So you're better off getting access in there while you can than having to find it later. One to go. Okay. Now, to hold the bowls, of course, there's certain shaped bowls that this won't hold. And no cold jaws or any of the others won't hold them either. All I've got to do is find out where I put it, and I'll know. I bought it. It was one I went over and got specially. Oh, it's right in front of me, you fool. It won't hold. Natural eats things naturally. Like that, because it can't seat onto the face in there. The other ones you've got to be careful of are like Japanese rice bowls like that have got long straight sides. Now what I generally do with these is add another layer on top here so that you've got a grip right all the way down to there virtually. Excuse me. So they hold quite well like that. Now these jaws, this particular sort, will not hold a bowl that curves in on itself, like it comes up around and then over the top. But what you do is you do the outside of it here, you undercut that, and that's right. Now what I do is I just roughly sit that in the middle, work out where it's going to go, and come about 1/4 inch inside that line. And I have to get the skew chisel. Just hold on a minute. I have to take my headset off again. I'll do it with a part. No, I won't. Only peasants do it with parting tools.
What new toy have you got, Jappy?
All right. Don't get your COVID beard caught in the zip of your turning jacket. It hurts.
You Wally.
Okay.
Oh, nice, Jappy.
What?
His wife bought him a table saw.
Yeah, I know. We all want to know what she's after.
Yeah, an Xbox for the son.
Right. About a half-inch in from the edge. Now I come inside the actual diameter of the bowl here, because always when you're doing this part, you've got to keep these jaws locked so that there's no vibration, because if they're loose, what can happen is that they flex and you'll get an uneven circle around here. So always do your measurements with the jaws completely locked up. Now what we're going to do is put a dovetail on the inside here. See the dovetail down in here? I'll get it up, try and get it around here a bit where.
Yep.
Right there. See the dovetail in there? That's what we've got to do there. So we undercut that so that the rim of the bowl sits in there and actually squashes in a little bit when you tighten them up. So right. Do it my normal way. I actually start the undercut with the bowl gouge. And finish it off with a screw chisel. It's the same as doing the dovetail on the jaws of a chuck, or on the timber you're fitting into a chuck. It's got to be nice and clean down the bottom here, and that's why I never worry about smoothing out here, because they're going to be a little bit uneven, but as soon as you put the dovetail in there, that should rectify that. Blow any crap out of the inside of it. Get our little bowl here. Fit it down inside. Now that now has an all-round grip that you won't move. Whereas with the buttons on the cold jaws and that, even the Vic Mark ones, the Vic Mark ones are better than the original Nova ones, but the stuff generally flips out. Now another little trick when you're doing this is that you don't cut across the face like that. I'll switch the overhead camera for a minute. You're always working towards the headstock. So you're actually pushing the work into the chuck and holding it there. So the other reason I don't like the Vic Mark ones is that I have had them mark. The timber actually moves a little bit in the vibrates like that and leaves a scuff mark, particularly on soft timbers like camphor, laurel and things like that. So, all right, I'll just finish this off. Now, this is the only time I got. Sorry?
I was just about to ask, what wood was the bowl?
This is the only time I come across on the final cut just to ditch the base in. And remember what I said about I'll change cameras in a second. Remember what I said about that little tip? Slow down the traverse, lift the chisel up so it's cutting right in the centre, so you slice in underneath it. And that, gentlemen, is about it. Any questions?
You get some super glue and fill up that crack so it doesn't crack anymore.
What crack?
Oh, you've zoomed the camera right in and there's a big split in the bottom of the bowl.
Huh? Where?
It's on, yeah, right there. Heading straight up now.
There?
Yeah.
No, that's the grain.
All right.
I can see you don't believe me.
Charlotte has a question. What are those marks around the base?
Around where? There. Round there.
I would assume so, yes.
Yeah. That's overspray from lacquer. Now, I would finish sanding that and everything in there. And the advantage of this too is that it always goes back in the same place when you take it out. Whereas I've had cold jaws and that where if you move it a little bit, it doesn't go straight back in the same place again.
Charlotte said on the rim.
On the rim. Whereabouts? Up here. Hold on, I'll just take it back a bit. Up here.
No, I think she was talking about the bottom, eh?
There.
She's you said where you were pointing before.
Down here,
Yeah.
no, it's overspray. We use NC lacquers, and because it was still sitting on the chuck, it couldn't dry properly down in there. It just built up in there. No, right, no. There. Yes, okay, Charlotte, right out. Yeah, that's overspray off the gun. Once I put it into there and sand it again, it'll disappear.
Mike said, are the outer parts single use, so you keep making more as you need them?
No, as I said, normally I have them on there, and if I've got a bigger bowl, which I haven't got here, I take the inside ones out, leave the outside ones on. I just keep putting them in and out as I need to use them, but I always make sure that they're roughly the size of the bowl when I put them in, so there's only about a 5mm gap in the thing here. So yeah, I had to make a new one of the big one a couple of weeks ago, but that was for another reason. Had one that I couldn't fit, but normally I'll use these over and over and over again. In fact, I've got quite a few of them here, so I can just sort of space them into where I need them. And if I've got to cut the side off and to fit them in, doesn't matter. If I make a new one, I do exactly the same thing, cut out a square the size I need, put it over the top, and put the lines in it again. Most of the bowls that I generally do, they're a specific size, so I can just use them over and over again. The screw holes do. Yes, Charlie. The screw holes do wear in the things, and quite often I'll move them in or out a little bit, but only after they've been on or off 3 or 4 times. Sometimes I cheat and get bigger screws. Instead of an 8 gauge, I'll use a 10 gauge or a 12 gauge. I'm not talking shotguns.
Depends who you're trying to teach to turn, right?
Oh, this is true. Right, any other questions?
Charlotte has another one.
Yeah, I can read it now. Yeah, Charlotte, that's right. What you do is you just make another one. So it takes nothing, and I must admit, we've always got plywood around here, so there's no skin off our nose to use it. Okay, anybody else got any other questions?
No.
I hope
Can you send me those jaws now that you've made them?
All right, well, if that's it, I'm going to go and have a cup of tea. Thank you for your attendance. I hope it's been interesting. I hope I've shown you what you want.
Sorry.
I reckon it's just a great way to hold flat-edge bowls, but a good website to look up about holding odd shapes is a bloke called Mike Peace, as in peace, baby. Mike Peace, wood turning in America. He did a whole series on how to hold odd-shaped bowls, and it's very, very good. That's why I never bothered making a video of it, because All right. Good to see you there, Bob, too, by the way. Same to you, Justin. Okay, closing her down.